Hey, it's the Oklahomans pregame show from the newsroom at the Oklahoma City headquarters of the Oklahoman Sports Department. I'm Mike Sherman, sports editor of the Oklahoman. We're joined from Norman by our OU beat writers Jason Kersey, Ryan Aber, and columnist Jenni Carlson, who's making her way to the stadium right now. How's traffic, Jenni?
He's behind me, but it's a touch and go for sure.
We're having a little trouble picking up Jenni so far. We got Ryan in the press box and Jason out there. What's going on out in the stadium right now, Jason?
Well, some players have come out and started warming up a little bit. They've let OU students in, but the general fan population won't be allowed in. Well, they're probably allowed in right about now. I think at 4:30 is when they open the gates. So yeah, just about to get started.
We're 90 minutes before kickoff of OU-Louisiana Tech. Last year it was Louisiana-Monroe. It's too bad that Oklahoma. How about next year, Louisiana-Lafayette? And then how about it? Make the
LSU.
LSU. Well, that one has to be scheduled far in advance, and I'm sorry, they no longer have a table available for the grass-eating coach, high-hat wearing Les Miles. Ryan?
It was scheduled. And,
what happened? What happened to that game?
Series got canceled out by some other stuff. LSU, I've heard, didn't want that series to happen. So it's been pushed back, but I don't know that it's ever going to happen.
A shame, a true shame, because it's most of us remember we used to have some fun with Les Miles. Any chance it has anything to do with Mike Stoops walking out to the hash marks in the 2003 Bedlam game and saying, "Hey, is that enough for you?"
I wouldn't think so, but you never know when you're talking about Les Miles and LSU. But OU's got some good ones scheduled down the road, but would have been nice to see the Sooners play LSU in a home-and-home.
Jason, what have you seen so far in college football? Have you been watching games today, and what's gained your notice?
Well, I watched a little bit of Michigan Appalachian State until it became a rout. I watched Iowa State get beat by North Dakota State, which didn't really surprise me. I know it surprised some people, but North Dakota State beats a Big 12 team about every year. So, and Iowa State, I think, has a long way to go. And I only caught a couple glimpses of West Virginia, Alabama, but that game's a lot closer than I think most people thought it would be too. So it's been an interesting day so far for sure.
I'm going to switch to our Jenni cam right now. It's sort of like the Kobe Bryant, LeBron James cam when they're making their way into the stadium. That's what Jenni's doing right now. She's making her way to the press box. Let me see if I can't make her lost Jenni there for a second. Ryan, what games are you watching and what interests you so far?
For the most part, watching the same ones as Jason, but I'm surprised at how many people are surprised at Iowa State losing to North Dakota State. We've seen it every year with North Dakota State, and it just, yet again, I think one of the other things I'm looking at right now, though, is Arkansas hanging with Auburn, tied right before halftime. Looks like Auburn might have a chance to kick a field goal to put them at a 3-point lead, but Brett Bielema didn't get an SEC win last year, and if he got one against a team that was in the national championship game a year ago, that would say a lot for their progress.
Guys, I had breakfast this morning with a resident Arkansas fan, a good friend of mine who's reminded me of the devastating situation that your good friend Bobby Petrino left the Hogs in. He said, would they lose 53 players from 2 classes? They were starting over in recruiting. So last year's outcome really wasn't any surprise to the people who follow Arkansas. They didn't know whether things would start turning around this season, but next season they're certainly expecting things to be better. We talked about the North Dakota State game in passing. Is this, Jason, is this a bad thing for the Big 12? It sure seems like it. 2 years in a row coming in is North Dakota State picking on any other conference?
I mean, I don't think it's a good thing for the Big 12 for sure, but last year they beat Kansas State. Kansas State wound up being a really good team by the end of the year. I'm not so sure Iowa State's going to be able to reach those levels, but I don't know. I don't know how poorly this reflects on the Big 12 because, like Ryan said, it's not something that really surprised me. It would surprise me if they came into Norman and beat OU, or if they went to Stillwater and beat OSU, or beat Texas and Austin, but beating Iowa State and Ames really didn't surprise me all that much.
Let's go to Jenni. Jenni, are you still muted? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Hey, I was talking to you about the commute. What was that like coming in?
Not too bad. The traffic, I think people are just remembering where they need to park and go and what everything's like on game day. So people still kind of getting used to things, but really not too bad. I left the house about 3:30 and made it to the exit by 4, which is pretty good. And now I'm standing in line to get into the stadium. So so far so good.
Do you have any secret routes to OU on game day, or is it a straight shot down I-35?
You know what? I've done all sorts of meandering through town, and today I just decided I would go straight down I-35 to Lindsay and see how it was, and it actually ended up being pretty darn good. So I think, at least for the time being, I think I'll stick with the normal route, if you will.
Sunny Lane seems to be a little bit out of the way for you folks on the western side of Oklahoma City. For those of us on the east side, especially the east side of 35, that Sunny Lane is hard to beat. Drops you right down there. And Jenni, I parked at one of your old favorite spots. Every time that First Baptist Church in Norman, they got a great shuttle coming in. I highly recommend it for anybody coming from the northeast side of Oklahoma City. Jason, away from the commute, back to the games. Right now, it looks like West Virginia is giving Alabama, a good run for it. It's 20-17. Early second half. What do you make of that game so far?
Well, I mean, Nick Saban can't say that this is a consolation game. This would completely destroy their national championship hopes right out of the gate, I think. And it's pretty surprising. I mean, Dana Holgorsen, I think, is fighting for his job this season, and obviously beating Alabama would go a long way towards saving it. But he's still got a pretty tough schedule coming up. I mean, OU comes to Morgantown in 3 weeks. So I don't know whether this means that Alabama's not as good as we thought they were, or West Virginia is good enough to maybe give OU a run for their money in a couple weeks.
Ryan, what side of that do you come down on based on what you've seen so far from West Virginia? I think they look pretty sharp.
Yeah, I think they do too from what the little I've been able to see of that game. But what's the biggest surprise to me isn't that Alabama's offense has struggled a little bit because we knew they were unsettled at quarterback, but the way that West Virginia's offense has been able to move the ball consistently on Alabama's defense is a little bit eye-opening. You figure defense would be their strength this year, and certainly if West Virginia is going to be able to move it on a lot of people, they're going to struggle in the SEC, especially at the end of the season when that Iron Bowl rolls around.
Speaking of the Iron Bowl, speaking of the SEC, we just got a new tied up Arkansas and Auburn. I think they're tied at 20. That looks like a pretty good game. Guys, let's talk about the Sooners, Louisiana Tech. This is Trevor Knight's second season opener. The first one last year against another Louisiana team. What do you remember about that? Didn't seem to be very memorable or special, Jason.
Yeah, no, he really struggled throwing the ball at this time last year. He ran the ball really well. I think he showed flashes of what made him so exciting to the OU coaches. He rushed for over 100 yards. It's the first OU quarterback to do that in a long time. This year I would expect him to be a lot better, particularly coming off the Sugar Bowl, but at the same time he's got a whole host of new offensive weapons. And other than Sterling Shepard, it'll be real interesting to see how those other guys play. I'm particularly interested to see how Blake Bell plays at tight end.
So one of you guys yesterday in the Hangout asked a great question. Is it possible that Blake Bell could score a touchdown passing, running, and receiving. Ryan, does it strike you that Bob Stoops is the kind of guy that would even entertain such a thought, let alone orchestrate it?
I think it's going to be dictated by what happens around him on offense. I think obviously there's a great chance that he catches a touchdown pass for the first time. I think whether he runs for one or passes for one depends on a couple factors. One, Trevor Knight's health and continued health throughout the season, especially early in the season. I think if he were to get hurt, they would probably go to Blake Bell at quarterback. But also the effectiveness of their runners. When Blake Bell was in the Belldozer and that was going full steam, it was because they had problems moving the ball with their running backs in short yardage situations. If they get to that situation again with Keith Ford and Alex Ross not being able to consistently pick up third down, pick up short yardage, they might go with Blake Bell in the Belldozer, and then there's a good chance that he hits those 3 marks.
Okay, guys, I'm going to ask you that we're going to end up with a bold prediction. We've already seen your picks in the paper. I'm going to give you a second to think of bold. What is your bold prediction? That means not something casual, not something that's most likely. Just get out there on a limb a little bit and make a pick on maybe some situation you see happening in this game. Between now and then, before we do that, let me ask you this. So the backup quarterback situation has been unsettled. The waiting for Baker Mayfield seems to be the theme of that competition. But Bob Stoops has named Cody Thomas as his backup. Will we see Cody Thomas today, Jason?
I think there's a chance if there's a blowout late in the game, I could see him bringing him in. If Trevor Knight gets hurt early, though, I still believe Blake Bell will take over. If it's an injury and it's a serious injury and the game is still close, I think they'll go to Blake Bell.
Sonny Galloway says we should have already seen Cody Thomas, Ryan. Will we see him today?
Yeah, I'm with Jason. I think obviously they want to get him in if it's late and it's a blowout, but if Trevor Knight were to get hurt early, I think Blake Bell's the guy. They've shown it with giving him work at quarterback during the week, and I think he's the one who's the best chance to win right now.
All right, right now we're going to end it up with bold predictions. Get out there on a limb, Jason. Give me your bold prediction for OU-Louisiana Tech.
Well, Ryan and I are prepared for this because we did a blog post on just this topic that's set to post, I think, at 5 o'clock. My bold prediction is that Blake Bell catches 2 touchdown passes today.
Jermaine Gresham-esque.
He will be the guy to restore the tight end position to this offense.
Wowzer. Like it. What do you got, Ryan?
I went with both Keith Ford and Alex Ross topping 100 yards. I think this game is going to get out of hand, and OU is going to try to establish the run game, not only today, but as the season goes on. And I think they're going to rotate the carries between those 2 guys, and I think that ends up being big numbers for both Ford and Ross.
Guys, thanks for those predictions. We lost Jenni, wireless capability. I hope make sure that she makes it to the press conference. There she is. By the way, she's not. Is she ready to make a bold prediction? Jenni, what kind of bold prediction you got?
A bold prediction for today? Well, hopefully my internet works better than it did on my phone coming in because I was good to go, except my phone kept turning off. I have my first fun note of the day. This is not my bold prediction. I'm filibustering, but trying to get on the elevator to come up, a certain man in a 3-piece suit and sunglasses was stopped by security and asked to show his badge. One Joe Castiglione. He said, opening game for everybody. But I think my bold prediction for today is too bold, but anytime you got an opener, I think, your team's probably not at the peak of where it's going to be, or you sure hope it's not. But I think today there's a shutout. I think I picked 7 before those suspensions of the wide receivers for Louisiana Tech. So I'll go shutout for the Sooner D. And I can't hear what you're saying, so I don't know if you're making fun of me, rebutting, or backing up everything I just said.
Ryan, will you please tell Jenni that this making fun of stuff has gone too far? I'm complimenting her on her sunglasses. I like her sunglasses. Tell her.
Sunglasses.
Come on. I like the sunglasses.
Windows on my car.
Come on. Listen. Okay, guys. That's all for this first edition of the Oklahoman's pregame show, Hangout. But you can stay with the best coverage team every day at News OK and every morning in the Oklahoman. Enjoy the game.